March 13th is literally right around the corner. And for those of you that don't know the significance of that date, well, that is when the new league year begins. And anyone that isn't franchise tagged or has not signed an extension with their current team or the team they were on last season, they become unrestricted free agents, which means they can go out and explore the rest of the market. Who wants to bring them in, basically? And Kirk Cousins has been one of those guys that we're looking at and saying, is he going to re-sign with the Minnesota Vikings? Are we going to get an extension done? Are we going to let him walk in free agency? What is going to be the plan with Kirk Cousins? And we're really unsure. All we do know at this point in time is that if we do anything with Kirk Cousins before March 13th, that's assuming he will be on the Minnesota Vikings at least for next season. Now, if we don't hear anything, if we plan on releasing him, we'll know by that March 13th date. But we still have to look at the potential. We have to look at the potential possibility that he's not on the team. Who's going to be the quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings? And there's one name that has recently popped up that could raise some eyebrows. And at first, I wasn't all for it, but I'm starting to rethink that process, starting to be like, this might be a good fit. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Justin Fields. Okay, so let's get right into it. Before we do, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Now, I seen this rumor just scrolling through the internet a couple times, so I was like, might as well talk about it because I feel like, us as Minnesota Vikings fans, we're going to look at Justin Fields and instantly say, no, we don't want him. He hasn't really been that good for the Chicago Bears. He's not what we want in this organization. He just doesn't have that explosivity. His passing stats don't show that he's elite, and we need somebody that can, change his franchise and give us a Super Bowl run. But look, Fields can be special. I think there's still something left in the tank. He just needs somebody to bring that out of him. And I think Kevin O'Connell is the perfect person for that. Now, there's an article that basically talked about this whole situation, so let's get right into it. So, if Kirk Cousins ends up leaving the Vikings this month, which continues to look like a real possibility, they could be in the market for one of the top two veteran consolation prizes at the quarterback position. One of them being Baker Mayfield, which we could talk about later, and Justin Fields. Now, either could serve as a high-end bridge option, perhaps while being paired with a rookie quarterback. Now, Fields is widely expected to be traded by the Chicago Bears. Still not much happening on that front either. Are they going to keep him? Are they going to trade him? What is happening? Nobody really knows, okay? And the Bears hold that number one overall pick and have the opportunity to draft Caleb Williams. Now, Mayfield, who made his first Pro Bowl last year and led the Buccaneers to a playoff victory, is the second best free agent quarterback on the market. Now, those two, along with Russell Wilson, will be among the most intriguing veteran options for the quarterback-needy teams who don't sign Cousins. Okay, not talking about Fields and Baker Mayfield. The other option that I could see that at first I was like, no, it doesn't make any sense. I don't want him on my team is Russell Wilson. The other reason why it could make sense for one season is because the Broncos are going to have to pay him all the money, or at least a massive chunk of the money that he's supposed to receive, being that he signed a contract there. So his first-year deal with the new team is going to be relatively cheap. So that would help us out cap space-wise, right? But we're looking at Justin Fields. I think he could be a game changer for us. I think he could actually come in here and do something good. Now, Jeremy Fowler of ESPN actually had this to say. I expect Atlanta, Pittsburgh, Las Vegas, and Minnesota to be on the Fields' radar. That's massive. That is huge. To be even thought about possibly trading for Fields, I think is a good sign, but it's also a sign that, hey, times are changing, right? Now, the Vikings trading for Fields, who they've seen up close for the last 3 years, would be fascinating. Okay? He's a dynamic runner who shows flashes with his arm, but still hasn't put it all together consistently, only going 10 and 28 as a starter. I'll bet with some tough circumstances around him. Chicago hasn't been that great as of recent. But would he fit what Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings want to do on offense? Most of you are going to say no. I think he would. For the sole fact that he's able to roll outside the pocket, utilize his feet, and make things happen. Like, we didn't see Fields turn it on until the second half of the season last year, or this past year, with DJ Moore. Now, it could take him a little bit to turn it on here in Minnesota, but I think when you look at it, I feel like we have the better offensive line. We really don't have a run game, so that would help us out, having a running quarterback. okay, Fields, who can also sling the rock when he gets going. And he can open up that pass game a little bit more with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and then we could really focus on the defensive side of the ball in the draft and free agency, other than trading for Justin Fields. The only worry I would have trading for Justin Fields is what would we have to give up? Because there's a couple circumstances where we might have to trade the house, right? We might have to trade a first rounder, a first round and a second round, or a couple second round picks, or maybe even 2 first round picks just to get him. And is that going to be this year, or is it going to be next year, or down the line? What are we going to give away from him? But there's also these other circumstances where I've seen maybe a second or third round would be all it takes to get Fields pulled away from Chicago. Now, we don't have a third round pick this season, but what if we traded this year's second and next year's third round pick for Justin Fields, if that worked out, right? Comes over to Minnesota. We can maybe keep him in a relatively cheap deal and see how it goes for at least one season. And if we like what we see, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years. Maybe he's our new franchise quarterback. We finally get him, feeling himself, get moving and grooving, starting to sling the rock and actually make things happen. I really do believe Fields could fit this offense. Only time will tell if that's going to be the case. But I think we need to give this guy a little bit more, or at least another option, or at least one more look somewhere else. Because sometimes when these guys get drafted, they go into a system that doesn't fit their play style. And I feel like the Minnesota Vikings, their system could fit Justin Fields' play style, even though we've been trapped in a pocket passing quarterback system for quite some time. I think Kevin O'Connell's smart enough. He was a former quarterback that he knows he's going to have to mold his offense around that. And if we don't have a running game, it makes it that much more easier for Fields to roll outside the pocket, wait for those receivers to have a little bit more time to get open, aka, Justin Fields or Justin Jefferson, and then sling the rock. That's what happened last year with DJ Moore and Justin Fields. They were starting to find their rhythm, starting to have that chemistry a little bit. 2 young guys out there. I think Justin Fields and Jefferson would be a perfect match. Now, if we look at Justin Fields' stats, you're going to say, absolutely not. What are you even talking about? And I understand it, right? Last year, 2,500 yards, 16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. He was hurt for, I think, 4 weeks or something like that at the time. Not the greatest thing in the world, okay? Now, if he wasn't hurt, we're seeing probably just over 3,000 yards passing. Again, that was an offense that I don't think, Matt Eberflus, I don't think he knows what he's relatively doing over there. That offense just doesn't seem like they should be, they should be performing a little bit better than what they have been. We'll put it that way, okay? And then the year before that, 2,200 yards, 17 touchdowns, 11 picks. In his rookie year, 1,800, 7 and 10. So he's getting a little bit better. He's being more protective of the ball, and he's realizing, hey, the ball is a program. We got to make things happen. We have to start showing that I can be the guy. The only thing that's going to worry me about Justin Fields, other than the lack of quarterback play, the yards and the stats and stuff like that, would be his contract coming up, right? 3 years in the league. When you get drafted, you technically have 4 years with the chance to have a 5th-year option. So that means next season, if we trade for Fields, it'll be on his current contract, okay? Or we'd have to, give him a new one or a new deal. But if it was on his current contract, we're looking at possibly having to extend him after the season. But again, I'd be okay with that. Because you get 1 year out of the guy. If you don't like him, you can get rid of him. You can cut him. You don't have to sign him again. You know what I mean? It just makes a little bit of sense. I think he would be a decent fit. I don't necessarily think he's the answer for Minnesota. I still feel like we need to draft a quarterback in that first round, potentially trade up if Kirk Cousins isn't the guy. But I think Fields is something or somebody the Vikings need to take a look at and potentially try bringing in. You guys can let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Would you like Justin Fields as the Minnesota Vikings quarterback? If so, let me know your thoughts. Also, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It'd be much, much appreciated. Have a great rest of the night, folks, and Skol Vikes.